The Tree of Life. The Axis Mundi is the central point. The pole around which all revolves. The central point of the world is the point where stillness and movement are together. Movement is time, but stillness is eternity. The Axis Unseen.
All right, Nate, welcome to Series 2 of Devspotter. This is actually episode 1, so thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course, pleasure's mine. Now, before I get into your solo adventure, it would be remiss if I didn't talk about your incredible background. And I'm going to read this because I really don't want to miss anything here. So, lead artist for Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Fallout 76, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Skyrim, Starfield. Man, have I missed anything here? I'm sure I have.
I mean, I wasn't lead artist on all of them,
Not
just
all
some
of
of
them.
them. But yeah, I was there for 14 years, so made quite a few games at Bethesda.
Yeah.
Was also the lead on, I don't know if you got like Point Lookout, the Fallout 3 DLC. I was the lead on that, yeah.
Incredible background. And you then left Bethesda Game Studios in 2021, founded Just Purkey Games as a solo dev. Now, mate, that's a really impressive tenure, working on so many AAA blockbusters. Talk me through your journey working with a lot of these AAA studios and publishers.
I mean, I really liked a lot of my time at Bethesda. Like, we made some pretty incredible games with honestly like a pretty small team at the time. Like Fallout 3 was like 65 people. Skyrim was like 100 something. And back then we used to like work in the basement, but eventually it got very successful and exploded in size. And it's like 500 something people across 4 companies now. So
Wow.
It wasn't the same style of working that I like. And obviously my decision to go indie is sort of the exact opposite of how things operate at the AAA scale, where it's like, oh yeah, we have like 7 outsourcing studios.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like contract a couple things, but it's mostly me.
Yeah. Well, just on that, like going from like a team of say, 500 plus to then obviously a team of 1. Talk me through, I guess like the benefits of going, in on your own and really sort of backing yourself into, some of the challenges. Obviously, being a solo dev, I'm sure there's plenty.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wouldn't say it's for everyone for sure, but I find it to be really, really great. And there's definitely benefits, like without having to do all those meetings and approvals.
Yeah.
I can do a lot of stuff really, really fast, especially working with Unreal. Like the tools are amazing. So I'm able to get stuff done that would take more time to even get approved to talk about maybe doing in a full game. Like, obviously, I'm not going to be able to do the same scope and have like these sprawling open worlds full of NPCs and stuff. But still, if I want a feature, I can get that in, get it done. And I know how it all works in like a really cohesive way because I have to think about it from like the art side and the technical side and the design side all together. And I like that a lot.
Yeah. And I often talk to, developers. It's, being a solo dev and founding your own, studio, you have to wear many hats. There's, and trust me, I know. And it's not just making the game. Like that's one piece of the puzzle. There's so many different elements to marketing and, relationships with publishers to funding. How have you managed that kind of process over time?
I think you just need to be actually honest about that from the start, that will take a good chunk of time. Like offhand, I'm going to say like 30% of the time or something, especially once you've like actually announced and need to do that marketing stuff on a more regular basis. So like right now, because with my third project going, I have more time than I did when I was deep in on the Axis Unseen and like promoting that all the time and then worrying about launching. And there's all these biz dev meetings and whatnot. It's a lot more than you might think, especially I think if you're going to do it well. Not to say I did the best or anything, but I think I did pretty well getting my name out there and doing a bunch of deals, like people installing their NVIDIA drivers. My friends are like, dude, that's your game. How'd you get that in there? I'm like, I don't know. I asked.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I just want to dive into that, the Axis Unseen, because I did play it. Obviously, before having a chat to you, I had seen it before, hadn't actually played it. But the one thing that really grabbed me was that soundtrack, which I want to hear more about from yourself, and the music. But I've got to say, Nate, like playing that game, I don't think I've ever been more stressed in my life, in a good way, in a good way. Like being the hunter, but then also being the hunted, and you know, that sort of open world, atmospheric kind of scene, you know, not having, you know, a map to know where the enemies are coming from. And, you know, that to me was something that stressed me to the max, but I really, really enjoyed it. And, you know, having all this sort of in-game kind of mechanic on your bow and arrow, I think was a genius move. It's something really, really different. And just while we're talking about the bow, you know, when you're actually aiming, that tension sound, like I just remember first playing it and just that sound. And a lot of people might think that's kind of like a minute, you know, thing, you know, to be talking about, or not an important thing, but I could just really get a sense of the love and the dedication that you put into that as a solo dev. And that comes from, you know, not only the gameplay mechanic, but just those sort of smaller, finer kind of details within the game. So I'm going to ask you about the game, because there's probably some people listening who may not have heard about it, may not have played it. I'm really keen to get your feedback on that sort of developer journey as you're building the game, and then maybe what people can expect if they were to play it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'm glad you noticed all those fine touches, because obviously I decided from the start that I wanted a game that was all about like having a really in-depth simulation of one kind of weapon. I mean, you have like the melee weapons and magic as well, but obviously like the bow is the primary thing. So there's a lot going on there under the hood to make it feel right.
So talk me through the actual gameplay mechanics. So if people were to play, what can they expect?
I mean, the closest kind of game that I put it to is actual hunting simulators. Like I moved away from phrasing it that way marketing wise, but it is basically a simulation game where instead of it just being you tracking the creatures and like, oh, I see their footprints and they could smell me, I wanted all of those things to apply to both the enemies and the player. So they'll follow your tracks. They can smell you. You can eventually get powers to smell them. All these different things going on, but then you can like use that to your advantage also, right? Because in some games, like, oh, it's a deer. If the deer smells me, the deer's just going to run away. But in this case, they'll come towards you, but that's not the worst thing, right? You could be like, no, I know that they're smelling me. If you listen closely, you can hear like a little sniffing sound and be like, okay, Nate, I'm ready.
That was the stressful part. Like, and before jumping in, I didn't actually realize that the noise, you know, there was like a noise meter on the bow, and you can kind of realize how much noise you're making. And I didn't know that when I was playing. I was like, how are they finding me? How are they seeing me? And then I realized that you've got a little flag that shows your wind direction. So, you know, the creatures can actually smell when you're coming and when you're around. And I must admit, when I first saw the deer, I thought, oh, okay, that's not going to be an enemy or anything like that. Yeah, not the case.
It is more cowardly than some of the other ones, but yeah. I'm going to have to jump in and play more. But, mate, I thought it was a really incredible game. And like I said, I just could feel the kind of dedication and love that you put into it. And that kind of leads me to, because this isn't, you've got two games. And for a lot of, I think you know where I'm going with this, but with a lot of developers, you know, in particular kind of solo devs and small studios, they tend to fit, not all the time, but fit a particular genre. And I had a look at the second game and I went, hang on, this is nothing like the Axis Unseen. Where did this come from? So I'd love to hear kind of, I guess, your inspiration behind that. And a little bit more about that game too. Yeah, so my second game, Deedlee Doo, Carkour, was kind of inspired from way back in the day. I used to play a lot of rocket jumping maps in Quake, but I always had this idea, like, why can't I just do rocket jumping, but with a car?
Yeah.
And so I had that dumb idea forever. And after I'd shipped the Axis Unseen, I kind of wanted a palette cleanser. And I was like, I wonder if I can ship a game in a month. And so I did.
Yeah.
Like made
Personal
everything
challenge.
out of Play-Doh and scanned it. My kids helped and scanned some of the stuff. My kids are the ones making fun of you every time you die. So it was very much just like complete pivot. And I also wanted to see how hard multiplayer was, because taking something like the Axis Unseen with this giant open world and all these
Mm.
systems and being like, oh, I'm going to add multiplayer to that, like that would be a massive undertaking. But
Yeah.
in Deedlee Doo Carkour, you have cars and explosions. And like that's about it. So
Yeah.
it's pretty streamlined, and it was pretty easy to actually get that in. It only took me a couple weeks to figure that out.
Wow. Yeah. Incredible. And just touching back on the Axis Unseen, obviously on PC, is there future scope for console? Anything we can kind of share regarding that?
Like for if it's coming out on consoles,
Yeah.
I would say keep your eyes peeled and you will see very, very soon.
Awesome. That's what we want to hear. And just, I guess going back to sort of the two games, looking back, obviously, the Axis Unseen was the first game, under or as being a solo dev. Is there anything you would change? Looking back at how you went to market, the build of the game, any kind of key learnings from, dipping your toe into being a solo dev?
Um, I probably would have play tested it for even longer because I did have a fairly large buffer at the end to just tune everything. But I think extending that even more, because generally speaking, I didn't crunch on most of the game. I almost never hit like 40 hours, except for like the last 3 months. And there I definitely put in a lot more hours. So I'd probably just avoid that and just have an extra long buffer for that and be
Yeah.
more okay making larger changes at that point. Because
Yeah.
at some point you do kind of have to like lock it in and be like, well, I got to ship this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. And I'm just curious now for just Purkey Games, what's next for you, Nate? Is there anything else that, obviously we're looking at potentially console for the Axis Unseen, but is there anything that we can expect in future of development wise?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't formally announced it, but I have been chatting a little bit on my Discord about it. It's making my third game, which is going back towards the horror thing a little bit more. And I'm working with the same composer again, Clifford
Yeah.
Meyer.
Yeah.
So without giving away too much, I would say it's like a 1980s horror type thing with a synthwave soundtrack. So
Okay. Yeah.
if you like stuff like Carpenter Brute and horror movies from the 80s and getting
Interesting. I
revenge
do.
on people.
Yeah. I feel like you're giving away the lore of the actual game, but no, I won't ask any further questions. But
I mean, that can go to all sorts of genres.
yeah, absolutely. But Nate, I just want to say, first of all, thanks for jumping on Devspotter. It's been awesome to catch up, and what a journey from working with a lot of these AAA titles to then going into solo game development. It's not an easy step, but I give you full kudos and credit for making that jump and doing something that from a creative perspective is what you want to do, and you have that full creative freedom. So mate, I just want to say thank you so much for jumping on Devspotter, man, and I look forward to what's to come.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
Axis Unseen.